You're knowing what you're wanting?
Yes.
Sort of, kind of. You are appreciating the contrast that surrounds you? Well, we're glad that you are appreciating the contrast that surrounds you, because it helps you to focus, doesn't it? The contrast helps you to choose. The contrast helps you to focus your desire into sharper and sharper, more poignant, more precise, more pleasing to you perspective. The less variety you have, the fewer your choices. The more variety you have, the more your choices. And it is the primary reason that we visit with you, because if you are behaving as most of your physical friends, with a great deal of variety, you see a great deal of what you do not want. And you've tried to control the part that you don't want, only to discover that you can't. And so then you begin to sort of section your life off by moving into the community that most pleases you, or traveling only in the places that most please you. You tend to limit your scope of life in order to limit the negative things that might be there, sort of backing yourself into a more and more narrow corner as life goes on. When you're little, you're not afraid of anything, and you're willing to explore, and the adventure is wonderful. But if you have parents who are guarded, or if you yourself have moved through time and have become more guarded, then if you're like most people, you are attempting a very impossible thing. You're trying to limit the scope of your life in order to cut out the things you do not want. And the thing about that is so screwy is that when you limit contrast, of course you may limit some of what you don't want, but you limit the things that you do want too. If instead of trying to control circumstances or events, instead of trying to handle your world through action, if you could become keenly aware of your vibrational output, which equals your point of attraction, if you could control the only thing that you ever can control, and the only thing that you ever really, from your broader perspective, want to control, if you can control your vibrational output, then you will control what comes to you no matter what environment you are standing in. Can you feel the advantage of that? Then nothing's off limits to you. No one, no place, none of it's off limits. And yet you cannot run the risk of getting stuff you don't want, because you're not tuned to the stuff you don't want. You're tuned to the stuff you do want. You sort of kind of get it?
Yes.
Esther was laughing the other day, talking about a co-creation that they had started and then they sort of bailed out on. And she said, it's really interesting to me to notice that if my vibration was where I want it to be, those people would not have had access to us at all. In other words, it's easy to stand and say, oh, you are inappropriate to my experience and you don't fit with what I want. But we want you to understand, whether that experience fits with what you want or not, it fits with who you are. Esther said, when I clean up my vibration, a lot of the people I know won't come around. In other words, when you're really in sync with who you really are, in other words, a sloppy electrician can't come to you when you're in vibrational harmony with what you want. You see what we're getting at? So, in this gathering, it is our desire to remind you of some things that you may have forgotten. We want you to remember that you are first and foremost vibration, that you are source energy, and that while you are magnificently focused in these physical bodies, and we get it that this physical world is a big deal to you. Well, it is to us too. It's the leading manifestational evidence of vibration. It's a big deal. Manifestations matter. But we think it is far more satisfying and important for you to remember your vibrational countenance, because when you remember that you are vibrational beings first and foremost, of course, you see all of this that surrounds you. You hear it, you smell it, you taste it, you touch it. It's tactile, it's real, it's reality. But if you could just step back a little bit from this manifested reality and be more aware of the vibrational state of being that is responsible for the reality that's manifesting, and put your emphasis on the vibrational part rather than the manifested physical part, you will gain huge control back. So here's how it works. You were source energy before you came into this body. Many of you realize that. You look around this magnificent time-space reality, and as brilliant as you are, you know that you are not capable, even the smartest among you, to scrape enough dirt together to launch another Earth into orbit. In other words, you get it, that there's something bigger going on than what you're doing here with your action here in this physical realm. You just cannot explain it without acknowledging that there is something more to the story. And as religionists, you have come up with quite a few stories that are interesting. And there are some who will listen to us here today who will say, oh, just another story. And we acknowledge that, because to explain the non-physical power and energy and purpose and love in physical terms, to try to narrow the scope of the bigness of all of that into something that you can get your thoughts around here in this physical form, it requires some specifics, and it requires an understanding of the basic laws of the universe. And that's what we want to impart to you here today. We want you to understand that what you see in your physical manifestation is an extension of a vibrational basis, and that vibrational basis is eternal. You came forth into this body from that basis. And even though you came from that non-physical state of being, which some call source, some call God, some call heaven, from that vibrational state of being, even though you're here in this body, that vibrational basis still remains as that vibrational basis. So humans often refer to that part as their soul. We call it your vibrational basis, the source of that which you are. And that source of that which you are, that vibrational source of that which you are, that is the you that is in the state of becoming. In other words, you are eternal beings, and you in this physical body assist that eternal part of you in the becoming. But this physical you is not the whole you of you. It's a part of you. It's an important part of you. It's a leading edge part of you. It's a leading edge, creative genius part of you who has come forth deliberately to focus in the variety of this leading edge time-space environment in order for you in your physical beingness to come to new conclusions constantly about what would be better for you. Even if you are a one-celled organism, that is true. So here you are, physically focused, exploring contrast, and all day, every day, deciding what would be better, what would be better, what would be better, what would be more, what would feel better, what would be better. And the source, the non-physical part of you, who remains always non-physically focused, hears every request that you offer. So when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. Whether you're speaking words to it or not, you cannot stop the deciphering process of giving birth to improved preferences. You just can't do it. And the evolution of all species is about that. So this preference moves forward like a rocket of desire. And the source within you receives the rocket, and more than receives it, becomes it. Adds this new request to the requests of positive becoming that you've been setting forth, and literally holds that vibrational place for you. Now, many humans never catch up with that vibrational place as long as they are still focused in their physical body. Because a very strange thing happens with so many of you. When you really know what you do not want, you send forth an equal and equivalent request for what it is you do want. In other words, that's that balance of the universe. But so often, even though you've set forth a rocket, sometimes you even put brief words to it. Want that? Ooh, it peters away quickly. Really want that? Really want that? Really want him? Really want her? Really want that? Really want this? But then you go right back to observing your now reality as far as it is manifested, which holds the absence of what you want, and you just tune yourself back into what you've got, and therefore away from what you want. Now, what we want to call your attention to is that with every request that you set forth, there is a vibrational reality that is accruing for you. And now this is where some say, oh, here comes the story, here comes the fairy tale. And we say, it's a good one. It's the story of the becoming of you. There you stand, non-physically speaking, newly expanded because of exposure to this contrast. And this is a vibrational reality. We're going to call this your vortex of creation. But this is the thing that with all we have to say to you here today, that we most want you to leave here getting. This vibrational reality, as far as we and the larger part of you is concerned, is present tense. Because when you've asked for it, you've launched the rocket, and Source has accepted it, and law of attraction, which is the basis of all becoming, now is responding to this expanded version of you. And here's the line we want you to remember always, so much so we put it on the front of a book. All cooperative components are being assembled. All cooperative components are being assembled to this present tense vibrational reality. Now here's the rub for you. If you are like most humans, moving out of that a little bit every time you hear us, if you are like most humans, your manifested reality gets more kudos from you than your vibrational reality. Because your manifested reality, you can see it, you can hear it, you can smell it, you can taste it, you can touch it. And even more important, others can too. So you like the validation that you get from others as you all view the state of being. But we want to say to you in a way that you will never, ever, 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 ever forget it, with such profound wisdom that it will ring in your ears always. This now reality does not mean diddly squat. Very profound. And the reason that we put it to you in that way, we want to diminish the reality that you are observing, because the reality that you are observing is distracting you from the reality that you've created. And the reality that you created is way, way better. Way, 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 way better. Because when you're sick, you ask for wellness. And in your vibrational reality, in this vortex of creation, you are weller than you were before you got sick. Now, in your medical community, you sort of kind of understand that. You understand that exposure to some of that stuff only makes your immune system stronger. It only makes you better. You actually march yourself down to facilities all over your nation and let them inject you with stuff so that your body will respond to it. In other words, you get it, that when you know what you don't want, that what you do want becomes a stronger part of your experience. And so this vibrational reality that is collected and gathered and spinning, that law of attraction is responding to in your vortex of creation, just know that it is present tense. And if you could accept it as done in the way that it is, and stop looking back at the unfinished part of it, which only holds you vibrationally out of sync with its doneness, then you would become, and this is the most important word you will hear all through the seminar, you will become a cooperative component yourself. It's so interesting to watch you. You do everything right. You're born, you explore contrast, you know what you don't want, you know what you do want, you send off these rockets of desires. That's step one. Source does everything right. Source gathers around what you've asked for and becomes it, and law of attraction does everything right. Law of attraction responds to the vibration of it, and all cooperative components are assembled for you, waiting for what? Waiting for you to become a cooperative component of your own desire. Sounds simple enough, doesn't it? So what keeps you from being a cooperative component to your own desire? I want more money. 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 Sounds pure enough. I want more money. I want more money because with more money I have more mobility. With more money I have more choices. With more money I have more freedom. And if those were the things you were saying, and if that elation was what you were feeling, you would be a vibrational match. You would be a cooperative component to your vortex of creation, to the pile of money that's been amassed. You should see it. But if you're saying, I don't have enough, I don't have enough, I've never had enough, can't remember having enough, my friends don't have enough, this friend is losing their house, this friend is moving out and renting their house, this friend is not doing well, this friend lost his job, I'm afraid I might lose my job. As you hold yourself in a vibrational frequency that's different from your fortune that's been amassed, you don't move closer to your fortune, but something even more important is happening. You don't feel good. Because when you don't keep up with the vibration that life has caused you to become, there's a vibrational discord within you that is represented in your body with negative emotion. Every time you feel negative emotion, it always means the same thing. Life caused you to expand, and right now, right here, with what you're thinking about, what you're speaking about, what you're blogging about, what you're emailing about, what you're twittering about, what you're... Those devices are not helpful.